Let's talk about Tyler Anderson. So, Tyler Anderson this season has kind of come out of nowhere and returned to his 2022 form. So far this year, he has a 2.92 ERA and a 1.14 whip. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me. However, he's also got a 4.5 FIP and a 4.79 expected ERA. These are just numbers off Baseball Savant. I'll put the numbers and the percentiles up on the screen. Considering the prices for pitching so far this season and in the offseason, could the Angels maybe look to trade someone like a Tyler Anderson, get some future assets, and kind of capitalize on his start to the season? It's certainly possible, and we know the Angels do not want to go anywhere near the luxury tax. So with them needing funds eventually for Ohapi, Neto, Shanuel, Reed Detmers as well, would now be a good time to kind of shed some money. Here's some possibilities that the Angels could consider for trading Tyler Anderson. And yes, they're going to get more, less realistic as we go about, but that's the fun of this. Let's dive into it. So, what about the Milwaukee Brewers? The Milwaukee Brewers have gotten off to a thrilling start. They are currently 8 games over 500 as of the time of writing the script. They're off to a thrilling start under new manager Pat Murphy. However, this comes with the caveat of a rotation that's been absolutely decimated by injuries. As a result of all the injuries, with guys like DL Hall out for on the injured list, Wade Miley out for the season, they've turned to their long reliever in Bryce Wilson to step into the rotation. Top prospect Robert Gasser just debuted in an electric debut, but this rotation still has question marks a quarter of the way through the season. Joe Ross is off to a relatively tough start in 7 games, and Colin Ray, he might have a pretty good ERA, but right now he has a 1.27 whip and a FIP of 4.5. Furthermore, the NL Central is full of talented left-handed bats, just looking at Cody Bellinger, O'Neill Cruz, and the outfield tandems of St. Louis and Cincinnati. So, someone like Tyler Anderson makes sense for the Brewers, although the only concern is going to come with his contract. He's making $13 million this season and next. However, that doesn't mean you can't work out a trade. With some clever dealings here and there, the Brewers and Angels could line up as pretty good trade partners, if you ask me. Let's look at the trade. So for the trade, I have the Brewers receiving left-hander Tyler Anderson along with $7.5 million in cash, and the Angels are going to be receiving right-handed pitcher Coleman Crow, who is currently ranked at number 25 in the Milwaukee Brewers system, along with Dominican infielder Kevin Eru and left-hander Wade Miley. Excuse the gaps, I'm switching between tabs for this. But here's the deal. Basically, the Brewers get Tyler Anderson to fill out their rotation for this year and next year at a reduced cost, considering the amount of money they'll be taking on for next season will only be half of what Anderson is due because of that 7.5 million. Meanwhile, the Angels are going to be receiving the Brewers number 25 prospect in Coleman Crow, who was traded to the Brewers in the Adrian Hauser Tyrone Taylor deal. Now, he is recovering from Tommy John, so he's going to be back in late 2024, early 2025, and he was pitching in Double A last. So it's very certainly possible that when he comes up, it won't be until 2025 in the middle of the season once he's fully back on track. They're also going to be receiving infielder Kevin Ariu, who I do not know much about, was not able to find much. He's playing in the Dominican Summer League and he's only 17. So he's more of a long term gamble, if anything. And the Angels will also be receiving Wade Miley. And by Wade Miley, I mean Wade Miley's contract. Wade Miley will not be pitching for the Angels as he underwent Tommy John surgery, and he will be out for this year and probably most of next. So they'll probably pay him the remainder of his contract for this year and buy him out of the offseason. The reason the reason Miley's contract is included is to balance out the financials for the remainder of Anderson's contract this season, and then next year the Angels will be receiving cash. It's a very interesting trade proposition. It took me a while to come up with, but with that being said, I think this could possibly work if you want Tyler Anderson in a Brewers uniform. Let's talk about the possibility of Tyler Anderson to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are off to an underwhelming start this season. At the time of writing the script, they're 4 games below 500 and last in the AL East. They've gotten solid rotation contributions from Jose Barrios and Yusei Kikuchi, but the rotation has kind of languished behind. Kevin Gausman has started slow, Chris Baza has had a rough start to the year, and Yariel Rodriguez is on the injured list as of writing the script. The Blue Jays have really helped Yusei Kikuchi unlock a new gear in his game, considering he was a below average to average starter in Seattle, and they could do the same with Anderson. Furthermore, Kikuchi is going to be a free agent at the end of the year, so the Jays could look to trade Kikuchi, get something for him, and then pick up Anderson at a lower rate to fend off the hell that is the off-season pitching market. Now, I had to get a little creative with how I wanted to do this, but I decided to come up with a three-team trade between the Blue Jays, Phillies, and Angels, with the Blue Jays getting Anderson, right-hander George Klassen, who's number 29 in the Philadelphia Phillies system, as well as cash. Don't know how much. The Phillies will be getting right-handed pitcher Yimi Garcia from the Blue Jays, and the Angels will receive right-handed pitcher Chad Dallas, who is number 15 overall in Toronto's system, as well as infielder Robert Moore, who's number 26 in the Phillies system as well. Now, why did I choose this route? Well, the Blue Jays, if they stay in last, they're going to sell. They're going to retool on the fly. So getting Anderson is going to help them retool. Getting someone like George Klassen, who's currently he's 22 and he's an A-ball, so he's more of a long-term pitching addition. Then again, most of the top prospects in the Blue Jay system are more longer term, so he's just another to add to the pile. It could help because you never know what's going to happen with guys like Manoah if he rebounds or not. Then when we get the Phillies involved, the Phillies are involved because they can get a reliever and they have a fairly strong prospect system with guys who are further away. Phillies are going to get Yimi Garcia to add another weapon to that bullpen, which has not only been solid, but it has had a few hiccups here and there. So Yimi Garcia would be another guy to add to that setup role in Philadelphia. And then for the Angels, they get right-hander Chad Dallas, who is number 15 in Toronto system. He is currently at Triple A. Now, the thing with Dallas is it's questioned what his role is going to be. He has started all of his games at AAA, but it's not gone well. He has a 6.63 ERA in 8 starts and 38 innings. He could be a change of scenery candidate. He is close to the bigs. He is 23 as well. So the addition of someone like Chad Dallas could be a good addition for the Angels farm, along with Robert Moore, who is more of a utility player. He's actually the son of former Royals GM Dayton Moore. So if you're wondering why the name sounds a little familiar, he's more of a utility guy. He's at Double A right now this season for Philadelphia. He's not going to bring you that like above average bat, 617 OPS so far on the year in Double A, but he is a guy who can play multiple positions. And you can never have too many of those because those kinds of guys just keep getting jobs in the major leagues. So I don't have a ton else to say on this trade, and I have two more to get to, so let's go ahead and go into that. What about the Minnesota Twins as a landing spot for Tyler Anderson? Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't Minnesota just spend the entire offseason shedding payroll? Yes, they did. However, now they might have payroll space to add at the deadline, considering that they're currently sitting in second place at the time of writing the script, and they look poised to add rather than not. However, they've got a very interesting farm system as well, so they can definitely make a move happen. Now, Anderson would be a little bit pricey in terms of his contract, but as we've seen in past deadlines, there's always a way to get a team to retain salary if you want to really get a piece. But without further ado, let's dive into what I have the Twins doing to get Tyler Anderson. So, to get Tyler Anderson to Minnesota, here's the trade that I've concocted. The Twins will get left-hander Tyler Anderson, who is the subject of this video. They'll also get right-hander Hunter Strickland to bolster the bullpen, along with cash considerations for the 2025 season. In return, the Angels will receive outfielder Kalai Rosario, who is Minnesota's number 16 prospect, right-handed pitcher Zebby Matthews, Minnesota's number 20 prospect, not as long, as well as right-hander Anthony DeSclafani's contract. There's a reason that's spelled that way. I'll get into that shortly. So I have the Twins really picking up Anderson for this year and next year to really have further rotation depth. The Twins also, according to the last time I checked, don't really have a lot of lefty starting pitching options. So a guy like Anderson in a division full of left-handed hitters, like Detroit has a lot of left-handed hitters, Cleveland has a lot of left-handed hitters, Kansas City might not have as many lefties, but they have some pretty good lefties. It might be a good addition for the Minnesota Twins. I also have them getting Hunter Strickland because they've been hit by the injury bug in the bullpen with guys like Brock Stewart being out for extended periods of time. Yohan Duran recently came back from the IL, so having pitching depth would be very valuable for a Twins team that's looking to make the playoffs. And I also have them getting cash for Anderson's 2025. But let me explain why. So, looking at what the Twins are giving up, the Twins are sending over right-hander Zebby Matthews to Anaheim. Zebby Matthews is currently their 20th prospect. He's one of these guys who's more of a command guy. According to MLB Pipeline, he has the best command in the system. And in 2023, he walked 1.3 batters per nine, which is really impressive. If we look at his numbers at Double A this season, he has a 1.31 ERA in 6 games. In 2 games at Double A, he has a .77. He's still in Double A. He's about a year or two away, and he looks to be a back of the rotation guy. So he could be someone the Twins could send to the Angels, and the Angels could be like, okay, we'll have another pitcher up in 2 to 3 years. Looking at Kalai Rosario, who is their number 16 prospect, he's one of these guys who is a very great defensive outfielder. He's more of a corner guy at the moment. According to Pipeline, he's currently only a corner outfielder, but he looks to be improving, and he could be hitting for power. He might be maybe a better Joe Adell, if you will. I'm not great at player comps, but this is a possibility. And the Twins are also sending over Anthony DeSclafani's contract. Why do I say his contract? He's out for the year. I said this in the Wade Miley deal earlier. If he's out for the year, I'm saying they're basically sending over that contract. They're sending over $4 million, part of which is still due. So that could mean some of that offsets some of the money on Anderson's contract, and the Twins aren't on the hook for as big a AAV hit per se. I know there's not a lot to go off of here. This is why this one's later in the video, because it's a bit more of a stretch. But if you want to stretch, just wait for number 4.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
If we really want to go crazy, let's talk about Tyler Anderson to the Rays. Yes, I know, this sounds insane, but hear me out. The Rays have proven over the last few seasons that they have some kind of magic pixie dust, if you will, that turns pitchers' career around just like, I don't know, like if it's common happenings. If Anderson wound up in Tampa, let's be real, he'd probably have like a 2.25 FIP and a 3.2 ERA or something like that. Now, we know Stuart Sternberg, the owner of the Rays, does not like to spend money, so that $13 million AAV might be a little challenging. However, if there's something the Rays know how to do, it's they can win trades that make people think, I thought they lost this to start. So, as you can see on screen, I'm not saying it, but you know what I mean. Let's look at this trade. So here's our trade. The trade is the Rays acquiring Tyler Anderson as well as Chase Silseth from the Angels, along with cash considerations, for right-hander Cole Wilcox, who's Tampa Bay's number 11 prospect, outfielder Cameron Meisner, their number 24 prospect, infielder Eric Lara, who's playing in the Florida Complex League, and right-handed pitcher Shane Baz. With this trade, I have the Tampa Bay Rays addressing their constant need for starting pitching. They're always able to get a guy or two to really start performing out of nowhere, and within 2 months, he needs Tommy John. So, getting this deal done for the Rays is a way for them to get insurance starting pitching and also quality starting pitching. Still, Seth has high upside with the strikeout totals over his first 2 major league seasons. He's currently on the 60-day IL thanks to a bout of something with his forearm. So, there's no timetable so far for his return. And as for Anderson, we've been talking about him for the whole video, so they know what they're getting in Anderson, a left-handed pitcher who can go out and give you 6 quality innings to start. Another thing with this trade is they're also going to get money to cover part of Anderson's salary, an undisclosed amount that I did not quite have the time to formulate. Anyways, with that being said, what do the Angels get in return? The Angels are going to get a higher prospect package than they have in some of the previous trades because of the inclusion of Silseth, who still has 5 years of team control left. So, the first prospect they're getting is Cole Wilcox, a right-handed pitcher who is currently the Tampa Bay's number 11 prospect. If the name Cole Wilcox sounds a little familiar, it's because he was in the Blake Snell trade that sent Snell to San Diego. Now, he did undergo Tommy John, so of course he is still working his way back. He's currently at Double A after having 25 games there last season. In 8 games this season, he's 2-2 with a 3.41 ERA. He's pitched 37 innings. The strikeouts aren't quite there, and the whip is at 1.38, but he is coming off Tommy John, so of course going to a system like the Angels might possibly help him. The Angels will also be receiving Cameron Meisner, the number 24 prospect, who is an outfielder. He's a lefty outfielder. He is, I believe, on the 40 man, so he looks like he could be a very good outfielder for the Rays. He has a pretty long stride, so he has an above average base running tool, so according to MLB Pipeline. He is 26, so he might not have as much prospect value as some of the other guys on the Rays top 40 list. But he is the most major league ready, and the Angels need outfielders badly. The next piece they're getting is infielder Eric Lara, who's currently in the Complex League. He's only 17 years old, so he has a 280 career minor league batting average in Dominican Summer League and Complex League play. He's off to a slow start in the Complex League, hitting 182 so far this season, but he looks to be a promising athlete. He looks to be a promising young minor league player. Again, he's still 17, so he is a long term play. And the last piece in this trade is right handed pitcher Shane Baz. Now, Why are the Rays going to trade Shane? Why would they consider trading Shane Baz? The Rays have shown a tendency to trade players who are coming off of injury to get whatever value they can for them, much like the Braves did in the Mike Soroka trade and the Kyle Wright trade. So, the reason Baz would be traded in this deal is because he is almost back from Tommy John. He looks to have one more rehab outing, and then he'll be at the major league level, most likely. Of course, this is all according to recent reports that I found on CBSSports.com that cover the Rays. Now, Shane Baz before Tommy John, now that was a different beast entirely. He had the velocity, he had the strikeout stuff. Will it be the same way now? I don't know. I can't say with any certainty, but he would be a major league ready rotation piece for the Angels to slot into that rotation along with Jose Soriano, along with Patrick Sandoval, getting a guy like Shane Baz would be able to have them slide Soriano back into a relief role where he has excelled so far, even though he has been pitching quite well as of late. Or he could even be a tandem with Shane Baz. Now, I know this trade sounds insane. That's why it's the last one I put on there. But with that being said, these are the 4 trades that I've come up with that involve Tyler Anderson. It was a challenge to figure out what teams needed, had an Anderson sized hole on their roster. It wasn't quite easy, had to consider a lot of things. So if you're able to click the like button and subscribe for more videos like this one, I would really appreciate the support. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you all in my very next video. Goodbye.